everybody, Claudia Boleyn here, and welcome to Claudia Boleyn Reviews Doctor Who. Today I'm reviewing Sleep No More by Mark Gatiss from Series 9 Doctor Who. You might have noticed I've skipped 2 episodes in my review series, and the reasoning for that is that I have not been very well and still am not great, but better than I was. And also, in light of what's been going on in the world recently, I didn't think it was exactly the right time to be getting into all that political stuff to do with the Zygon inversion and the Zygon invasion. So they'll be coming later on when I've got the time to record them, but you will get those. Okay, so Sleep No More. I feel really bad doing this review because I don't want to be that negative person, and Mark Gatiss seems like such a nice person, and he's really enthusiastic, and he clearly really adores Doctor Who, and he's a really nice man, so I don't want to be mean about his episode. But I thought it was absolutely rubbish. I really, really hated it. I think it's probably one of the worst Doctor Who episodes I've ever seen, ever. The reaction on Twitter after this episode aired, I have never seen such a bad reaction to an episode in my life. I know there weren't so many people on Twitter in the old days of Who, but from the time I've been on Twitter, and someone who watches Doctor Who then goes on Twitter straight after, which is my habit, I really have never seen such an overwhelmingly negative response. And I was sort of getting involved with it, but also feeling really bad at the same time, because not only is Mark Gatiss the writer, and again, you know, he seems really nice, one of my favourite actresses was in this episode. You might know if you watch my cucumber banana tofu reviews that I really, really like Bethany Black. She's probably one of my favourite actresses. And she was one of the sort of breakout performers in Cucumber Banana Tofu, which was the series by Rusty Davies, and Tofu is a documentary series by Benjamin Cook. And it's all about sort of life being LGBT in the 21st century in Manchester. And I really enjoyed that, and through that show I sort of became a massive fan of Bethany Black, and I'm still a massive fan of her. I think she's wonderful. She's a comedian as well as an actress, so if you want to like check out some of her comedy, just type in Bethany Black to YouTube, you'll find some stuff. She's very funny. So when a while ago I found out Bethany Black was going to be in Doctor Who, I was so excited because, you know, I adore her, and it's so great that she's going to be in a show as big as Doctor Who, because I want more people to see her. Because before, online, it was like shouting into the void. I was like, oh, I love Bethany Black, she's so cool. And people were kind of mostly silent. Apart from if they were LGBT and part of the Cucumber Banana Tofu fandom, in which case they joined me in talking about how great she was. But I was so thrilled because I thought, finally, the world is going to know her name. And so I was disappointed, and it's probably my own fault for like hyping it up too much. But in this episode, she played 474, and it was like it was kind of a small part, and she played it brilliantly, and I really liked 474. But I wanted more of her, and I guess I don't suppose that's a flaw with the episode, but just for someone who's such a big Bethany Black fan, like, she's got such a great range. Like, unless you've seen Cucumber and Banana, like, you won't realise, like, she's really got something as an actress where she sort of has this sort of vulnerability to her acting, and I just get vibes off her where I feel like she's going to be big in the future. I feel like she's going to really do big things with her acting. She's just really good. And it was such a shame to see her in a part which didn't really showcase that, because you couldn't watch it and say she was a bad actress. I mean, she played her part really well, but I don't know, I wanted her in a part that was bigger so people would really remember her. I think we should start a petition so that Bethany Black becomes the next companion after Clara leaves. Personally, I think she'd be great. It's also worth mentioning that Bethany Black is trans, and she's the first trans actress to be cast in Doctor Who, which is fantastic. But I don't think that she was cast because she's trans, and anyone who says that is just talking rubbish, because she's amazing. And if you really do think that, then you need to go back and watch Cucumber and Banana, and then you'll realise how amazing she is. So I don't want any of that bullshit. No one comment that on my video, please. So that was the positive part of this review. It was quite short. The positive part of this review is basically that Bethany Black was in the episode. No, actually, to be fair, this episode was a found footage episode, and Doctor Who's never done that before, and it's something which happens a lot in horror films and that kind of thing. And although I don't really think it worked that well in the episode, I do think it's great that they tried it, because it's always better to try something new and have it maybe not work out than to just do the same old boring stuff. So actually, that's a good thing, I suppose, even though it didn't really translate well for me. I found that it was way too shaky, and I know it's supposed to be found footage, so I understand why that is, but I think it was too much. I think it sort of acted as a barrier between the viewers and the story, and I think what it was meant to do was make us feel more involved, like we were actually seeing this stuff for ourselves, whereas for a lot of people it kind of kept us away from it, and we desperately wanted to be involved, but it kept like locking us out. A lot of people said stuff like that on Twitter, and I completely agree. Like, fantastic that they tried it. I don't think it worked. Maybe it might have worked if some of the episode was found footage and some of the episode was like normal filming. I don't know, but you know, good on them for trying it. It just really didn't work for me, and it actually started to annoy me watching the episode, which was frustrating. As usual with my reviews are a list, and that means I've got to list the stuff I noticed and thought on this episode, and I feel bad doing it because this stuff is pretty negative. But as I say, this is an opinion video, and feel free to disagree. And you know, there must be people out there who really liked it, and if so, then that's fantastic. And send Mark Gatiss love if you did enjoy it, because I know that lots of people didn't enjoy it, and I feel really bad for him. But I'm unfortunately not one of the people who did enjoy it, so here's my list. I found the characters in this episode were really two-dimensional. For me, Under the Lake managed to make me feel very involved with the crew, with the main characters in that episode. I felt like I knew them all. And yeah, it wasn't perfect, that episode, but we know that, and also from the Rusty Davies era, it is possible in a single episode to make you feel invested in a crew of people and to really, not necessarily like them, but to know who they are. In this episode, the people were just caricatures. I mean, you had Chopra, who was the political one, like the political rebel, or so it's assumed from what he said. And then you had Nagata, who just kept saying pet all the time to prove she was from the north. 474 was nice, but really, the part wasn't that big, and so we just thought, oh, 474 is kind of slightly oppressed like the Ood, and she has brute strength. Rasmussen was quite a good character in this episode, actually. Yeah, okay, I take that back. Rasmussen was pretty good. I have to admit, he was characterised quite well. The Doctor and Clara, yeah, they were okay. Like, I like their relationship now, so I don't complain about it so often. Because, you know, in the start with the Doctor and Clara, you know, their bonding technique was, I read this in a review, and it was so true. Their bonding technique was basically the Doctor just, like, calling Clara ugly all the time and insulting her physical appearance. I'm glad we're past that stage, I really am. So, you know, I do believe that they have a strong, loving friendship, and I like them together, so I don't need to complain about that, and I think that's pretty solid. I think that's been throughout all the episodes of this series, and that's a really good thing about Series 9. Obviously, Clara is becoming more doctorish herself, which is like the running plot point with Clara this series, which is probably going to have something to do with her death, which is going to come soon. And we don't know if she's going to die, or she might leave. I don't know, she's going to die or leave, and I think it will probably be to do with her being more and more like the Doctor. Okay, now I've got to talk about the monsters, the Sandmen. Like, why? Why did this even occur to someone? Like, I don't understand. Who wakes up in the morning, has a bit of sleep in their eye, and thinks, oh wow, what if this conglomerated with other people's sleep bogies and made a humanoid sentient being with a giant sort of opening here and ran around and scared people? Who even... Well, I don't need to ask who thought of that. Clearly Mark Gatiss did. What was the man on? People all the time... You know, there's a big fandom thing going on where you've got the Russell T Davies fans versus the Stephen Moffat fans. And all the time, they're fighting all the time. And I'm like a Russell T Davies person who kind of doesn't like Moffat's writing all the time. So I'm usually on the Russell T Davies side. But anyway, an argument that's often used to say that Russell T Davies wasn't very good is the Slitheen, which are basically farting aliens that unzipped their foreheads. I liked the Slitheen. Like, I know it was silly, but it is a family show, and I don't mind silly, considering, like, the Slitheen did have a motive and personality, and they were actually scary as well, so, you know, I've never minded the Slitheen. Even the Absorbaloff, like, it was silly, but it was nice, because it was created by a kid, and it was like a... I did enjoy that. There's problems with that episode, I'm not gonna lie. Love and Monsters is a strange one, but there were lots of good things about it. I genuinely think the Sandmen are probably the worst Doctor Who monster we've ever had. And it was so embarrassing when the Doctor was trying to convince us that they were scary with his speeches. And they just weren't. Was anyone actually afraid of the Sandmen? The only time I was afraid, and this was my favourite part of the episode, which I actually thought was done really well, which is the last scene when you've got Rasmussen talking to the camera and revealing that actually he's not there anymore and one of the Sandmen has become him. That was actually really impressive, I have to admit. The last scene was good. If only the rest of the episode had been as good as that final scary scene. I feel like this episode tried too hard to be clever and actually wasn't that clever. It was like the people involved, like the writers thought it was clever, but it didn't come across that way. Maybe it was really clever and we all just missed it, but everyone watching did not seem to know what was going on, and sometimes that's great in Doctor Who. For example, Blink, like that's kind of left a bit open and spooky, and that works really well. Midnight, you don't ever find out what the thing that possesses Sky is, and that works really well. But the thing is, you can't have your entire episode made up of people thinking, wait, what's going on? What's happening? Someone pause it. What's happening? It's good to have some mysteries and leave some things open, but when your entire episode makes no sense and people are struggling to actually keep up, not even because it's super clever, just because it doesn't make sense and it's not explained. Like, for me, that's not a clever episode. I think it's important that viewers are able to keep up, at least to a certain extent. Even the Doctor ended the episode by saying, I wrote it down, he said, it doesn't make sense. None of this makes any sense. And I was like, yes, you're right, Doctor. The whole episode, none of it made any sense whatsoever. And it's only like a single episode. It's not even a two-parter. So I think loads of people came away from that episode actually feeling cheated. Maybe it was supposed to be clever and it backfired, because most people watching it kind of felt a bit annoyed. Like, I just sat through that episode and I have no answers. I don't know what happened. It made no sense. And also, there was a bit of preemptive congratulating of himself by Mark Gatiss in this episode. And again, I like the man, I think he's really nice, but seriously, these lines from Rasmussen in the episode, I do hope you enjoyed the show. I did try to make it exciting. All those scary bits, a proper climax with a really big one at the end. Compulsive viewing. I did tell you not to watch. Yes, they did tell me not to watch at the start, but I had to watch because Bethany Black was in it. I didn't have a choice, and I should have heeded your warning and not watched it, because I have to admit, while watching the episode, I was sitting there thinking, when is this finished? When is this going to make sense? When am I going to hear the Mr. Sandman song, because I like that song, and when am I going to see Bethany Black again? Those were my thoughts during the episode, and you shouldn't really be thinking those thoughts while watching an episode. We did get a hybrid mention this episode. India and Japan in the far future have fused together like a hybrid of different countries. Are they going too far with this hybrid thing? I don't know, but some of the online Doctor Who memes to do with this are actually hilarious, and you should check them out. People just take the piss recklessly now. People don't even care. One thing I must say that was good about this episode was the fact that there was like diversity in the cast, but that doesn't make it a good episode for me. Like, when I say we should have diversity, that doesn't mean I'm gonna like the episode anymore or dislike the episode anymore. For me, diversity should just be there automatically. Like, there should not be an episode, especially an episode set in the future, where it's all white people. Like, that just shouldn't really be happening. There will be arguments where, okay, occasionally that could happen, but on the whole, as time goes by, we're getting more and more diverse as a planet and as a community and as a country, which is a really good thing. So I like the fact that it was diverse, but that doesn't make me give it any more points, because it's just like the baseline decency level of what should be happening, really. I do think Stephen Moffat's going to have to leave Doctor Who when he runs out of bodily functions to try and stop us from doing, because we can't blink or sleep, and we can't breathe. I really feel like we're getting to the stage where next series, if Moffat's still writing, we're going to have an episode that's like, Clara, or whoever the new person is, hopefully Bethany Black, Bethany Black, don't cough and you're dead. And that'll be the story. And it'll be a terrible story, but I'll watch it because Bethany Black will be in it as the companion. Okay, so that was my review this week, and I feel bad. I feel really bad doing it. But I try to be honest in my reviews about how I feel about them, and oh god, I didn't like this episode. There were so many things I didn't like, and you know what, I could have said more in this review, but some of the things were nitpicky things, and I thought, you know what, I've got so many other complaints that I'm not even going to go in with the nitpicking this week. I'm just going to say what I have to say, and I feel bad because, again, like, one of my favourite actresses was in it, and she was amazing. Like, I'm not trying to put Bethany Black down for this at all. And Mark Gatiss seems really nice. I just basically hope Mark Gatiss never sees this, but I thought it was bad. End of review. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next week to review The Raven. I hope it is The Raven from CBBC. I used to love that show, and I actually think I would have been quite good in Way of the Warrior, because I'm small, but I'm quite quick, and I'm good at judging distances and stuff like that. I always used to wonder what my raven name would be, and what my symbol would be, like maybe a tree or something, and I was good at the riddle path, and also I love the idea of having a standard and putting a ring on your standard. That show was gold. They should bring that back. I hope that is the Raven of the next episode. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. I love you loads. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.